It's about the restoration of our republic. We want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Good morning, America. You're listening to America's Voice Now, and my name is Michael Evans. I'll be your host this morning. You're joining us on our third segment this morning, and we're going to be talking about the issue of the cult of climate change. And when I say the cult of climate change, I know there's a lot of people out there that are sitting on the fence. There's a lot of folks out there that believe in climate change. They've kind of been given the mantra, and they've fallen for it. They've been taken in. And I got to ask you, if there's one thing that is if there's one thing in human nature that is a flaw for us, I got to tell you what it is. We, collectively, as a group, are unwilling to admit when we've been wrong. And with all due respect to everyone listening, it is the largest fallacy, the largest failing that we have. When I say that, I mean, the reason I should say I mean it that way is because by refusing to acknowledge that we've been tricked, because we are either unwilling to acknowledge to ourselves that we've been taken advantage of, or we have labored on behalf of some stated belief and staunchly defended it long and hard in front of others. And now we don't want to go back and say, hey, you know what? I was wrong. We shouldn't have voted this guy in. I got taken in. I'm sorry. There's very few people in the country who have been able to say that since 2008 and then again in 2012. Do you know why? Because we're all about perception and nothing about reality. We're more worried about what people think of us than we are about following what we know to be true, listening to that small voice in the back of our mind that says, hey, wait a second, something's wrong here. You see, by allowing ourselves to be taken in, we've made a mistake. But we compound that when we refuse to admit that we were taken in and we were wrong in our judgment, or that we followed the wrong lead. And that is the same mistake, folks, that every member of every cult makes. They for whatever reason, they are unwilling to admit that they've been misled, and we're gullible enough to be taken in. These new EPA rulings that are out there, and I mean, senators are coming out and predicting pain. This is their words, not mine. Pain. David Vitter says that the President Obama's new regulations on carbon emissions for existing power plants on the part of a climate action plan will be a huge blow to American pocketbooks. This rule is all pain, no gain. American families and businesses will have to shoulder all the costs and burdens from this rule without contributing to any significant reduction in global carbon emissions. It's cap and trade all over again, but this time without giving the American public a voice to vote on it in Congress. This rule is just a payday for President Barack Obama's friends and political allies. Mitch McConnell. Another tragedy is today's announcement is that for all of the pain this new rule will inflict on ordinary Americans, there is no clear benefit. These new rules will cheer the far-left patrons of Washington liberals, but there is simply no question that our competitors around the world will eagerly replace whatever industry we lose as a result of these new rulings. The notion that these competitors will follow our lead is pure and utter fantasy. Now, I'm not a big fan of Mitch McConnell. In fact, you know, if you've listened to me long enough, you know that I don't have anything good to say about Mitch McConnell. But in this case, I got to applaud his statement. He's accurate. But you see, the problem is that we consistently sit here and allow ourselves to be taken in time and time and time again by the same nonsensical garbage over and over and over. We heard this crap about Obamacare, and we allowed ourselves to be taken in. Well, guess what? In the Daily Beast, there's a brand new article out there called EPA's New Regulations to Cut Carbon Emissions or Obamacare for the Air. How much Kool-Aid have you drunk? I mean, why would you sit here and consistently continue to listen to this guy from Heaven's Gate preach about a comet coming here, and when it sweeps by, you're going to be magically transported into the comet and into a celestial event? And too late, you realize that I'm about to kill myself over a belief that has no foundational basis. This dolt in the Daily Beast, Jason Mark, he says, just like healthcare, listen to the thinking behind this, and tell me that you can draw any comparison whatsoever to a logical, rational thought process. Just like healthcare, the plan to change the energy industry relies on a complex set of rules that harnesses the power of the marketplace, and it will be controversial. Wow. You got to be kidding me, right? No, I'm not kidding you. In fact, let me throw this out there. What that tells us, first of all, I want you to note the use of the word rules, right? I want you to hear the statement again. Just like healthcare, the plan to change the energy industry relies on a complex set of rules that harnesses the power of the marketplace. Okay. First and foremost, notice the word rules and how they use it. The reference is to complexity and harnessing. Since when can you have free enterprise when government is in charge of it? It's not free enterprise anymore. Laissez-faire capitalism doesn't flourish when the government is in control of it. Then it's no longer capitalism. It's now fascism. What this tells you is that this guy who wrote this is a statist with delusions of grandeur that government can solve everything by total abject control. We've already seen the results of Obamacare, so don't believe it. The climate change mantra is a hoax, and it has been a hoax on a parallel with still believing in the Jim Jones cult. Long after everybody's been dead and the apocalyptic predictions and the doom dates that he gave came and went. You see, folks, logic, rational thought, and common sense will guide you. If only you will allow it to. And you will be assured, and you will have to work hard to not be led astray by the sparkly charms and the dangled promises of utopia that are given to you by statists who are just trying to manipulate you. We've seen the results of Obamacare. We want that now for our air, our water, and the rest of our economy? I mean, if you follow this knucklehead's way of thinking, you know, this is all good for us. He starts out his article, environmentally concerned voters will finally get what they paid for by giving their political support to President Barack Obama when Monday morning in Washington, Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Gina McCarthy unveils the draft of sweeping new regulations on existing power plants. Why are we subject to the whims of a small minority of environmental brainwashed people? I mean, look, we all want clean water and air, but we can't kill ourselves to get it. Then that's self-defeating. What's the point? If we bankrupt ourselves, if we kill ourselves, to accomplish the better world for humans, and there are no humans around to enjoy it, then what was the point? I mean, this is just the absurdity of this type of thinking is and should be. It should be as foreign to your mind as me saying to you, I want to take you up on the George Washington Bridge or the San Francisco Bridge, and I want you to jump. I don't want you to have a parachute, and you're not going to have a bungee cord. I just want you to jump. You'll make it. You'll live. I mean, 99.9 of people out of 100 would say, no way. Yet when we're told that it's okay for us to do this, that slashing these power plant emissions by 25% and 30% by 2030 are actually going to benefit us, when we know that we have nothing to replace it with. I mean, I'm not... look, here's what I'm saying to you. Listen, I don't want you to just give me your coat. I want you to give me the coat that you have and your family has. And you guys can just, struggle through the winter. No, I realize it's going to be a long walk home. But for the benefit of the country, you got to give us your coat and you got to give me the keys to your car, and you guys can walk home. Who would do that? It's 3 degrees outside. You and your family are at danger. The Pentagon, to make this matter even worse, the Pentagon is operating from a 11-year-old report that was a 2003 report called An Abrupt Climate Change Scenario and Its Implications for United States National Security. This report was issued in 2003. And even the guy who authored the report says, I'm surprised they took it as seriously as they did. What it was a report that was founded and built upon worst-case scenarios. It was a role-playing scenario. What would happen if, California, sank into the ocean, and these guys are treating it as if it's gospel, as if it's written from the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, cut into stone tablet. First of all, it was a paid-for climate study. So it was a commissioned piece of art. Secondly, it was a role-playing what-if scenario. It wasn't meant to be taken as gospel. And consultants at that time told the military that. And in this document, they said that by now, by 2014, California would be flooded and would have become an inland sea. The Hague would be unlivable. That polar ice caps would be mostly gone in the summertime, and that global temperatures would rise by as much as 0.5 degree, 0.5 degrees a year. Well, let me debunk right off the bat the climate change, the rise in temperature. It's raised less than 0.1 overall in the last 15 years. And by the way, in case you haven't noticed, the Hague is still livable. The polar ice cap has actually grown, not shrunk. And California, much to our chagrin, is not underwater yet. It was the Kickstarter for this Pentagon movement to switch over to green this and green that. This fuel they're paying $125, $135 a gallon for when normal gas is going for $2.50. And they're buying hundreds of millions of gallons. Yeah. And we wonder why the Pentagon is saying we need more money. We need more money. Well, stop spending money on stuff that doesn't exist. Stop believing in the Jim Jones cult of climate change. That comet's coming. I know it. We're just going to lay down here on the bed and we're going to take our cyanide. The problem is that, we're all connected together. So when you take cyanide, we all get it too. See, the problem is they're all operating on flawed and faked science. This was not even meant to be, and it was never intended to be, a legitimate piece of science. It was a what-if scenario. It's not something that you would base an entire national defense policy on. It's been fully debunked, and it's still the guiding document for these idiots. Basing a national defense strategy on the Heaven's Gate cult would be stupid, and it would be suicidal. Basing a nation's defense strategy on a 2003 report, which was provided as a worst-case scenario think tank what-if scenario, is no different. It's insane. And yet it's the rule of the day. I posted an article up on our Facebook page this morning. Scientists admit the polar bear numbers that were so widely touted as, the polar bears are dying off, blah, 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 that they were made up to satisfy public demand. Did you hear what I just said? Scientists admit polar bear numbers were made up to, quote, satisfy public demand. Science is no longer a pristine, corruption-free area where the folks that are involved in it are doing it because they believe in something greater than themselves, in the idea and the concept of discovery for advancing man's knowledge. Now it's simply a means of making a living. And because it's been polluted with the concept of greed, and it's been corrupted, science has become a game of commissioning a piece of creative artwork. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we're basing our entire public, our entire foreign policy on, our public policy, our energy policy, our educational policies. I mean, you got to be kidding me. Why would we do this? You may as well pick up Hansel and Gretel or the Grimm Brothers fairy tales, read that and say, yep, this is truly representative of our world. We're going to start making policy based on what we found in this book. It's insane. I'm going to bring Mike Slack on with us this morning. I wanted him to talk a little bit about Go Green Festival, which is not what you think, but it is an environmentally sensitive program where you're taught how to live more in harmony with nature, but not necessarily along the lines of this nonsense about, going green in the way that the environmental troglodytes and extremists believe. Hi, Mike. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Hi, you're on a roll today, Mike. It's a great show.
Thanks.
And, we added the two words self-reliance to the name of our festival. It's the Go Green Self-Reliance Festival.
There you go.
That was probably 3 years ago because of confusion. Some people thought when they heard the name, I walked into the Mountain Grove PRC one time to plug it. Didn't know very many people there then, and they thought I was Al Gore's assistant. So we added those words to the name.
Well, you didn't fly in on a Learjet or anything, right? With a carbon footprint the size of Maine, did you?
No, and I don't have his money. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Well.
I wanted everybody to know it's June 21st and 22nd. That's a Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, June 21 and 22nd, and this is going to be held in Thayer, correct?
Yes, at the City Park, right around the rodeo arena.
Okay. Now,
9 a.m. to 6 both days.
Okay. 9 a.m. to 6
Now,
p.m.?
Yes. Admission is free for attending.
Okay.
Admission is free for vendors.
Okay.
We had 150 vendors last time.
Outstanding.
A lot of folks have handmade items. We had some Amish folks selling produce. A lot of folks had canned goods, jams and jellies they'd made, quilts, a lot of raffles going on, an awful lot of local businesses. I was happy to see we're there because we're trying to really promote our local economy.
Right.
Remember, Forster's Hardware brought everything they had that fitted into alternative energy, and we were happy to see them there.
Well, there's all kinds of
Crowder
things,
College.
Mike, last year that were about self-reliance in terms of, you know, how to become more self-sufficient. I'm thinking specifically of the truck that was there that, you know, burns wood instead of gas, right? The wood gas truck. I'm thinking about.
You had a good time riding around in that.
I
truck.
did, and I understand you're going to have a different one there this year. But I'm also thinking about
this
Darren
is
and the. I'm also thinking about Darren and the well water boy thing, where he's got that handmade pump that can pump water up 500 feet. I mean, from a well. That's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Almost nothing else in the marketplace can do that without electric power. I mean, this guy is a local guy
Darren
who's
is like
invented
Thomas
something
Edison of
incredible.
Missouri.
Say again?
Yeah. Darren is like the Thomas Edison of the Ozarks. He's a genius.
He really is.
Stuff.
He really is.
And now the truck will have uses wood gas, burning firewood to run.
Right.
This is a different truck built by the same man.
Okay.
And this one he sold to a fellow in Springfield who travels with it, promotes it. And then a professor at MSU is going to come in with a wood gas generator to make electricity for your home.
Now I'm excited
And
because
Mike
that to me is that's the king application, especially here in southern Missouri or in the Ozarks, where you've got unlimited sources of firewood. And the idea
Exactly. And if you don't like the wood gas method at all, Mike Brown will be there showing you how to make a steam engine and
Right.
also make electricity for your home burning firewood.
Mike Brown also has books and studies on how to make your own grain alcohol or make your own alcohol that you can use for fuel. And he's got a foolproof and easy method of distillation that anybody can do to create enough fuel to be self-sufficient for you and your family. So if you have an opportunity, Mike, give me the dates. It's the Go Green Self-Reliance Festival, and it's going to be in Thayer this year. And Mike, give me the date real quick. We're getting cut off by the music. I apologize. Folks, I'll make sure I have those dates for you, and I'll be posting them up on our website so that you can find more information about it. This Go Green Festival is something which has been happening down in Thayer for years now, and it's been very, very successful, and I encourage you to participate in it. You know, there are reasons for you to be self-reliant, and we're seeing them around us every day, so don't miss out that opportunity. If you can get down here to Thayer to visit the Go Green Festival, you'll see some amazing things that will definitely improve and benefit you and your life and your ability to prepare and defend yourself and your family against what we know to be coming at us. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how these EPA regulations have become the fatwa of the cult of climate change. We'll be right back.